Oilers go down 1-0 in their game against the Rangers. And honestly, they were playing like shit leading up to this point.
Do you know what? I agree. However, literally this moment, like right before this, that was like the only moment in the first period. It was like, all right, we got a grip on the game a bit now. Bit of offensive dominance, like kept him in the zone. And then just a pass that D to D is one that Bouchard and Ekholm make, whichever way, every single game, probably multiple times a game. Clearly, it's becoming a bit too often because it became something they just read. And all of a sudden, you got a breakaway.
Well, and also, like, that's a play where you need to be 100% sure that you're going to make it. And we've talked a lot about Bouch. We've talked a lot about Bouch and some of the turnovers. And, like, I am all good with Evan Bouchard turning over some pucks because he's taking high-end risks. This is not a high-end risk. This is just dumb. He needs to look, recognize that pass, which was way too long of a pass to be trying as well. Like, if you're going to do that D to D, again, needs to be a wide open lane, or you need to be shorter together in distance. He tried to force it. The play there is just to put it back in the corner and keep cycling and keep wearing down the Rangers. So a dumb play by Evan Bouchard. And you and I are both Bouchard fans. And I'm not going to sit here and, like, pile on him to the extent that the haters do and be like, this is why he's not worth 10.5, like blah, 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 blah. Because I will remind you all once again of the line I gave in the playoffs, and that is there are going to be 9 to 10 games in the regular season where you are like, why the hell are we paying this guy this money? And then there are going to be 9 to 10 moments throughout every playoff run where you go, thank God we have that guy. And for the Oilers, they are built for April, May, and June. What happens in October, as frustrating as it is for Evan Bouchard, and he will tell you, and he did tell you, that his level of play right now is not good enough. He spoke after the game. Gregor had the quote. He's not good enough right now. The plays are costing them hockey games. But if you're going to write this guy off and be like, you can't win with him, you haven't been paying attention the last 2 springs.
I agree. And I think it's perfectly fine to criticize him after what he did yesterday.
Oh, and we're going to roast him right away.
He played terribly, and you need, like Gord put in there, not playing a 10-point. He's not playing at his level of 10.5 million. Like,
no.
And the Oilers can't have 2 defensemen who do that typically on a game-to-game basis. Granted, Nurse was pretty decent last night, obviously a couple of goals. But this one, again, like you said, Ty, you're going boards to boards for no reason at all.
Zero reason. There's no upside to that play.
That is clearly a drawn-up play that he assumed he could just make. And he didn't anticipate, what if the play doesn't work? The other side of it, too, is, and people have mentioned it in the chat, and I agree with you, when is Stuart Skinner going to stop a breakaway? But the other side of it that's kind of funny is we only know he doesn't stop breakaways because they've allowed so many on him so far this season. You know what I mean? Like, obviously you want to save. It's their fourth-line guy, and it looked like he thought he'd made the save, and you need to stop eventually. I 100% agree with the people who were saying that. But, again, the only reason we know is because basically every single game we're getting 1 or 2, just through bonehead mistakes, whoever it may be that night.
Yeah. Couple of things from the chat. We got one here from PNM who says his level of play will not get us to April, May, or June, Tyler. For F's sake.
It does every year, man.
Oh, my God.
What are you talking about?
They woke up this morning, points in 8 of their 12 games, and they're in a playoff spot. Like, you can sit here and be an emotional reactionary fan. I'm certainly not going to do that. Also, me getting fired up while dressed as a goddamn safari guide is ridiculous. I feel like an idiot.
That's why I took my hood down. We're getting serious now.
Seriously. Evan Bouchard is still one of the best defensemen in the NHL. And you can sit there and talk about the turnovers. Like, he has not been good right now. But you do not look at 12 games of a player and go, actually, that allows me to just make a sweeping statement about who they are. It's dumb. And Phil says, what are you talking about? He did this shit in the Stanley Cup final 2 years in a row. No, he didn't.
Matthias Ekholm did.
Matthias Ekholm did. So get your head out of your ass and pay attention to what's going on. Like, that's just such a dumb comment. He literally sets records for what defensemen do in the Stanley Cup final. And for 3 rounds last year, Phil McCracken, Evan Bouchard was the Edmonton Oilers' best defenseman. He learned how to penalty kill on the fly, produced at a high level, and was quite literally, between him and Wallman, they were the only 2 defensemen who were playing well through 3 rounds last year. Yeah. Even a guy like Kulak was not Kulak last spring. Evan Bouchard carried this blue line, and let's go back 2 years. Well, we can go back this year. They don't beat LA without Evan Bouchard. Let's go back 2 years. They do not beat the Vancouver Canucks without Evan Bouchard. So you can sit there and make up some story in your head about how you think he played in the Stanley Cup final. It's wrong. I'll give you that. It's wrong. You can pretend to think that. They don't get to the Stanley Cup final without Evan Bouchard in either of the last 2 years. So just don't Like, it's just the dumb stuff where people come in here and they're mad after a game last night. And again, the Bouchard turnovers are bad, and we're going to talk about that. And I'm not absolving him at all. But it's just ridiculous to sit here and be like, they aren't going to make the playoffs with Bouch like this. They lost in the Stanley Cup final because of Bouch. They lost 2 years ago because they couldn't score a goddamn goal in Game 7.
Here's another thing that we should bring up, because this was a conversation online too.
Why am I wearing a fucking safari outfit?
The analytics community. And Bouchard typically has pretty solid analytics. And, you guys know how I feel on that. I'm a bit... both sides, like, you can see it sometimes, and sometimes you just need to watch the game and be like, oh, that was a terrible play. Mm-hmm. We're arguing against his save percentage when he's on the ice. Because he's just giving up the craziest chances against. Like, I went through and I looked, and we can pull up the video a little bit. Well, let's do it after, once we get to the end of it all. God, I'm so mad. 7 goals this season, Evan Bouchard, as I categorized it as, led to it as a clear, like, mistake, like, misread a play, or just, like, a straight-up turnover. 7 goals against. It's like, so we can sit here and argue and be like, well, look at the save percentage. And it's like, okay, but how many times has he been a clear consequence of, like, why that goal happened?
Totally.
I counted 7.
So to go the other way on that, on our conversation here, is the people who are going to point to on-ice save percentage and be like, he needs a save. We're 12 games into the year. We're going to watch the film. He's hung his goalie out to dry so many times that you cannot throw the on-ice save percentage at us because it's all high danger. So the on-ice save percentage argument is ridiculous and gone. I want to get to another comment here because, again, people just say shit in the chat that's not true. Someone goes, he's -9 this year. No good player should ever be -9. Ready to hear who else in the NHL's -9 this year, Liam? Braden Point and Sam Bennett. They're both -9.
Sam Bennett. Braden Point.
Conn Smythe Trophy winner.
Team Canada guys.
Yeah, Team Canada guy. You want to hear who's -8? Rasmus Dahlin.
No.
Yeah. You want to hear who's, Matthias Ekholm's -6 on the season. Matt Coronado's...
God forbid.
Matt Coronado's -12 on the season. Like, we can go back to last season as well. I could give you a whole slew of really good players. Even just this alone. How many players in the NHL last year do you think were -9 or worse out of the 700 and some players who play in a given season?
300.
166 are -9 or worse. And you can go through that list and find some really good defensemen who finished the year -9 or worse. So don't be sitting there and throwing plus-minus back in our face saying that Evan Bouchard stinks. Like, it's just not true.
Plus-minus, just a bad stat.
It's not a good stat.
Just watch it. And I agree with you guys who are frustrated with his turnovers. He's been bad. He needs to be better. Should he be held accountable? That was a big question last night, especially after we saw Darnell Nurse get benched for, the end of the second period with like 2 minutes left, and then I think it was until like the 13-minute mark. So that's a good 10-minute sample size of game time.
Sidney Crosby last year was -20.
Well, what are we going to do about that?
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways.
But I'm just saying, like, should Bouchard have been benched last night? I say yes. I think he should have been. I
would take the power play away from him for a game and be like, hey, man, like, you're never going to healthy scratch him. You're not going to sit him for a whole game. But I think you can sit there and go, you know what, man, you're not getting top power play minutes for a couple games till you figure it out.
Darnell Nurse had 2 goals yesterday.
Yeah.
Archie played a pretty solid game.
Had himself a good game.
Get him out there. Like, play the hot hand.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's where the Oilers struggle. And maybe some of you saw, like, Spectre had the article last night of, like, talking about it. And he's like, Kris Knoblauch came out and said, we hold our players accountable. Yeah. It's like, okay, but you clearly don't. Like, you need to show the fan base that, like, everybody is accountable for this. It's not just Darnell Nurse when he makes a mistake. And rightfully so. He should have been benched against Utah the other day. But Evan Bouchard comes on, makes 2 mistakes as well. They just went back-to-back plays. And all of a sudden, he's out there on the power play, on the overtime shifts, and, like, playing late in the power plays and playing late into the game. It's like, no, like, you have 7 defensemen. Trust your other 6 defensemen.
And this one from Max, who is this is a level-headed rebuttal to what I was saying. He says, I wouldn't say it was ridiculous, the argument about the save percentage. Darnell Nurse has been terrible. Good game last night, he adds, and has been spending every night in his own end and has a .930 on-ice save percentage. There's a level of luck involved. And I get what you're saying, Max, and, like, I will have this conversation with you about on-ice save percentage, I think, game 25. When there's a bit more sample there. But the problem for using it to defend Bouch right now is it totally ignores the fact that he is causing, like, grade A high dangers. Like, Darnell Nurse turns over a puck. It results in, another 45 seconds of zone time for the other team. They get a shot from the blue line and maybe a shot from the half wall.
Yeah.
Okay, now Darnell Nurse is, that's why he has a .930 save percentage, where, yes, he had a couple of egregious turnovers, but maybe the team just defended around him a little bit better. He recovered from it. Like, they're not resulting in breakaways, and that's just the problem here with the Bouch stuff. What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that subscribe button.